Svarog, the celestial blacksmith god of the ancient Slavic pantheon, was revered by the ancient Ukrainians as the protector of cosmic order, a divine forger, and creator of enchanted relics. In the sacred groves, they would offer sacrifices to honor him. In the heart of the primeval forest stood Svarog's immense forge, seamlessly blending with the wilderness. From the outside, it appeared as part of the forest itself, a colossal tree trunk reaching toward the heavens, wrapped in thick, ancient bark. Svarog's forge lay deep within this vast, enchanted forest, which stretched across the endless lands of ancient Ukraine. Among the dense thickets and stone sanctuaries, the ancient Ukrainians would gather to perform sacred rituals in honor of their gods. The women ventured into these holy groves to conduct rites that invoked the blessings of the deities for a prosperous harvest, thanking the gods for the fruits already reaped. Among the men of the bear cult was one of the most sacred and revered rites, symbolizing their bond with the forces of nature and strength. Deep within this mystical, timeless forest, where the sky was concealed beneath the dense canopy of centuries-old trees, there lay a sinister swamp soaked with dark magic. It was here that a fearsome serpent had made its lair. The serpent was a monstrous and terrifying creature, emerging from its eerie swamp to wreak havoc on the people, devouring those who crossed its path. One fateful day, a group of maidens set out along the ancient paths of the enchanted forest to perform their sacred rituals. Suddenly, the swamp began to churn, and from the mist emerged the dark, hulking form of the serpent. The maidens fled in terror. Finally, Svarog's forge appeared before them. They rushed inside, seeking refuge and safety. Svarog, seeing their plight, welcomed them into his forge and sealed its heavy iron doors just as the last maiden entered. The serpent, filled with fury, stopped before the forge, seething with rage. It could not penetrate the sacred walls of Svarog's forge. The serpent threatened Svarog, vowing to swallow him and his forge whole. But the blacksmith god, undeterred, offered a challenge. If the serpent had the strength, it should lick a hole through the iron doors of the forge. Should it succeed, Svarog promised, the maidens would sit upon its tongue and allow themselves to be devoured. Confident in its might, the serpent accepted the challenge and began to lick the iron doors of the forge. Days turned into nights, and for 20 days and 20 nights, the serpent labored. At last, it succeeded. Its tongue had worn a hole through the iron doors. But by then, it was exhausted and weakened. In that moment, Svarog seized his mighty hammer and began striking the serpent with thunderous force. At last, he wore down the beast. Svarog then yoked the defeated serpent to his immense plow. A plow so vast, it would typically require 12 pairs of oxen, and began to till the land, carving a great furrow. Svarog drove the serpent relentlessly, forbidding it to drink or rest, forcing it to continue its toil. The blacksmith god encircled the entire land with the creature, creating an impenetrable boundary. From that day forward, the monumental mounds formed by Svarog's plow became known as the Serpent's Walls. At last, Svarog reached the Dnipro River. The serpent, overcome by thirst and unable to endure further, threw itself toward the water. As it drank, it did so with such ferocity that its body swelled larger and larger, until finally the serpent burst with a thunderous crack. The blacksmith god took the remains of the defeated beast and buried them beneath a great mountain by the river. Having saved the people from the terror of the serpent, Svarog gave the ancient Ukrainians hope for a future where evil would always be vanquished